Hey guys, it's Jill, and I'm just hanging out here at a little waterfall, and I was reflecting on some things that have been brought to my attention lately. I've been talking a lot about racism and the drug warfare, right? like the handing out of the harm reduction. And I've been thinking a lot about compliance lately because I think this school year is really going to shake a lot of people awake. And I think that, or maybe not even awake, but like just into a different consciousness, like a new way of looking at things. To comply means to conform, right? Or to just obey, kind of blindly sometimes. And Syracuse City Schools announced the other day that they're going to buy locking bags for cell phones. And I don't know if that's actually already passed and that's a thing that's happening, but we live in a time where, we like to be connected to our kids all the time. We like the fact that we can text them and communicate with them. So where do you stand on the school being able to not only take your child's phone, but to lock it so that they cannot have access to it? And getting beyond that, how much of their day, like of the school day, are you willing to sacrifice for them to lock all these phones and then release all these phones? And I know that there's a lot of, differing opinions on whether or not kids should have their phone at school or whether or not they should be on them. And a lot of that is our own, lack of attention to boundaries because our kids don't have boundaries, or at least most kids nowadays don't have boundaries. And I see it more and more, especially in those, tween and early teen years. Just no boundaries with where am I allowed to go and where am I not? What am I allowed to do at this age and what am I not? What am I entitled to, right? Like, I was at a party the other day and this little girl just took every piece of an item that was on the table and put it in a bowl so no one else could have any. And I was like, And it's not the first time. A couple years ago at a sleepover for my daughter, I put a bag of candy on the table and thought, they're going to be here. It's a sleepover. We can have this bag of candy to snack on. And the next thing I know, I walk back in the room and these girls had vultures collectively divided all the candy into piles and this is mine. And it was almost like inmate mentality. And that frightened me a lot. a lot. And I talked about it then, but I think that it's really important that we start looking at where are we moving collectively, effectively for the whole group. Because this year too, especially in bigger cities, you're going to have a lot of movement from ICE, right? Big Beautiful just gave them $150 billion. We're already seeing them capturing, detaining, kidnapping American citizens or people who are here on legit visas and green cards. Okay, this is happening. So, I talked about this a bit the other day, and I posted a video from last year where I talked about how energy precedes itself. So if there's going to be an event or something is going to happen, for those people who are tuned in, and especially kids, they pick up on this, they're going to be able to feel when these things are coming, or they're going to know that something is off in their environment, okay? And they're going to probably trigger you to feel that. So, especially if you're a teacher, just be aware because, the fact that ICE is being allowed to wear masks, the fact that they've pretty much just been given free reign in our schools, in our churches, our hospitals is terrifying. We're definitely headed before 2030 to some kind of civil unrest. We have to be. There's not going to be an option unless we're just going to sit down and comply with this sort of colonial, patriarchal, white takeover, okay? And that's a hard thing for me to say, but I had this conversation with someone yesterday, a friend who was a person of color, and we were like, man, the people that are just sort of taking the bait and following the media right now, it's creating a lot of division. Now, we have been in a space of division for a long time, but the fact that the gap is widening instead of getting smaller is very interesting to me. And this is why language, things like the N-word, racial slurs are gonna really come into play. Like, you know, not even in jokes anymore. And people are like, oh, you can't take a joke. We have used race for comedy for so long, and it's like, yeah, okay, we should be able to do that. We should. But the fact that we have a generation of people now who don't understand that it's satire or that it's humor or that we are all one is dangerous and crazy, terrifying, a lot terrifying. You know, you're going to see that more in schools too. You're going to see the erasure of history, okay? My kid last year in 7th grade didn't read a single book. Not one. Not even by a white author. There's a reason for that, friends. There's a reason that they're not teaching them to write cursive. Because if they're educated, they're going to think for themselves. If they're reading, they're getting different points of view. They're building vocabulary. And you want to talk about the vocabulary? Because I'm here for it. Lately, the only graffiti that I see these kids leaving is their name. They have nothing else to say and nothing else to write. Where did creativity go? Just 2 weeks ago, I was sitting out in front of the building. I had a bucket full of chalk. These kids were walking by. They're probably like 17, 18. They saw me. They're like, what are you doing? I said, drawing. They said, are you an artist? I said, no. I said, I just have some chalk. I said, you guys want to draw something? And the one kid drew a flower next to mine. So he copied what I had done. And the other kid wrote his name. Of course he wrote his name. Well, what else would he write? You know, they vandalized the new playgrounds and they write their name on the slide. Well, I guess we know who did it, so thanks for that. So now there's no boundaries, and there's no creativity, and there's no intellect. Friends, Google Documents cannot be raising our kids. This is not working. It's not working. The media, turn off the TV. And what's really interesting about that, and in this conversation I had yesterday, we talked about that, like, you know, there is all this division and this ignorance, right, and like the repealing of rights, like certain states taking away rights to abortion. Alabama just imposed a restriction up to 10 years of incarceration for cannabis flower. 10 years? Are you kidding me? Okay, so we have to start looking at where our rights are being stripped and where our intellect is going to take us. But if we're moving in a heart space, right, like when there's an emergency or a car accident, most people are helping one another, and we see that, right? So is that what we need? Are we going to need a massive emergency for people to wake up and go, hey, maybe we really all need to work together? I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to be that way, but we can't be allowing unrest in our streets the way that we are, especially with ICE, especially coming into our schools, taking away things from our kids and locking them up. I'm not a fan of public education. Most of you know I'm not a fan of public education, and I actually, as much as I'm not a fan of Trump and the things that he's doing, I think that defunding education, especially Head Start, is like a way to go. I really do. I think it's going to move us back to understanding that we should be educating our kids locally communally within our own smaller societies, rather than allowing the government to do a one-size-fits-all run on our kids and their intellect. Because when they're all thinking in the same direction, well, that's how you get compliance, but that's also how you get tyranny. The cost of living right now is insane. What they just pulled with insurances and SNAP is going to be atrocious. And if you have private insurance, be prepared for massive rate hikes on that. What we're doing with the weather, not okay, right? If you don't believe in cloud seeding, you can look it up. The patent goes back to the 1800s, so they know that it works. That's why they used it in Vietnam, and it's why it's been weaponized against us now, because they know what they're doing and they've perfected it now. There is a push, and I can't even believe I'm going to talk about this, for wearable devices. It's in Big Beautiful. It's written a little bit funky. You can look for this. They do want everyone to have a wearable. So if you have a phone, you're going to start to see a push. You know how they hand out tablets on the street corner? By 2027, you're going to see a big push for wearable devices. So they can track not only where you are, but your blood pressure, your heart rate. What are you doing? Okay. That is extreme. Biometric data is... Nope. It's almost anti-humane. Okay. That's not a way that we want to go, and I know that some people are really for it, but if you understand what it means to be sovereign and you really understand what it means to be human, I need you to start looking into what it would really mean to give the government that kind of access to us. And not only that, but the fact that 5G is extremely, extremely dangerous. The EMF radiation is off the charts. The standards for that have not changed since, 1996 maybe. It may have changed after that a little bit in, 2008, I want to say, but not a lot. Okay, so we're really, we're melting ourselves. We're radiating ourselves, carrying our cell phones on our person, wearing the wearables, earbuds in the ear, and that is another thing that is just, I don't know. And I don't know if that's, a subconscious way to, get out of the programming is for people to just zone out now. But when I go into a store and I'm walking around, if you pick up a cute top and I'm like, oh hey, that's cute, you can't hear me because you have earbuds in, and then our human connection is lost. Okay, it's non-existent at that point because you're in your own world listening to frequencies that probably are unhealthy, to be honest with you. It's a lot, you guys, and I know that I sound, I've lost my marbles, but here's the thing. I've been here before. Okay, this isn't my first incarnation. Hopefully it's one of my last, if not my last. There are a lot of things moving and changing right now that are not going to lead us in a proper direction for the future, at least not a healthy societal one. So please start looking at places where you're being compliant, places where you're sitting down, in areas where other people are being hurt. Okay, because something that hurts one person hurts all of us. And just a last note, please check your addictions. The drinking is insane right now. The opiate use, I don't think it's as insane as it should be. Or that they want us to believe that it is. Just know that everything is a personal choice. Everything that you put in your body, no matter what it is, whether it's legal or not, right? You're making a personal decision. And again, boundaries. And if you think that those boundaries are starting to slip or waver and you need some help, then please seek those things. Because I am watching so many people destroy themselves right now, and a lot of it is because of the collective chaos, and a lot of it is because people don't feel free. How can you feel free when we have people being snatched out of our streets? How can you feel free when we have the, most mass incarceration of any developed nation? When our civil rights are being stripped, of course people don't feel free. When you're being tracked and monitored everywhere you go. I want things to just work when I turn them on. I don't want to have to sign in and create an account and have 7 different email addresses, but here we are. And is this healthy for us? Is this good for us? I don't think it is. But I don't want to think that I'm thinking in my own direction. But maybe I am, and maybe it's necessary. If you're with me on this, please, please let me know. Maybe you're standing against me, please let me know. Because lately I'm posting these videos and I'm not getting a lot of feedback, and I've said that before. But that's okay. If there's a message here for you, it will be delivered. So all you have to do is watch. But I would really, really love to have, like, conscious conversations. And I know that I'm trying to create a teen space for our kids to have a place to go. I think that it's necessary. I think they're the one group that's being the most underserved, and that a lot of them can't read, and a lot of them can't write, and a lot of them don't have any confidence. And they need those things, and they're going to need those things as we head into the future. So I can't sit down on these things because it all ties back to one. It's all cyclical, you guys. All of it. Especially as parents. Every decision that we're making is affecting those kids. Okay. So I love you guys. You know, I mean, I don't want to say that I don't love it here, but lately it's been a really rough road. So I don't know. I'm praying for all of us that we find some collective agreement to move forward in, you know, surrounding all of it. Surrounding the way that we want to head as a collective society. What is going to be best for us? What is going to be safest for us? And how do I... There's a bug on me, by the way. You know, what is going to be the safest way for us moving forward for everyone? Like, I hope that you're thinking about that. I hope that you're looking at those things. And I hope that as we move forward, that ideas and perceptions do shift and change. Because I definitely think that it's time. So, alright, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. See you, girl.